All right, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. Sound check! Sound check! Hello, Houston! All right, well, I think things are okay. I'm not sure, but I don't know how Spielberg does it. I'm just trying to learn the functions on this for a little editing, and anyway, I don't think he has anything to worry about. Oh, God, it's so hard to get back into these things and figure out where you were. Kind of that little the thing with the toenails, and that's how cool, how God kind of works. It's just like, why did you come up with the reason I started doing stuff like that is because of Rod Earwood. And, whether he knows it or admits it or anything else, but he and I, the cartoon that we always look at in the Houston paper was the Quigmans. And the Quigmans and I'll roll up some screenshots of Quigmans, but the characters were just perfect for the way we were. And so we had this whole narrative on the Quigmans, all these events. So little things became animate objects. So when you talk about your toes, that becomes a person, and then the toe talks to the other toe. And the Quigmans were big on that, and kind of Far-Side-ish and stuff. But that all started from down there. And I went over to his place one time. His wife allowed me, whatever. But I went over and met his kids. I think he had 3 daughters. It is a typical guy, a guy's guy. Fun guy, and he gets 3 daughters. Oh, so I go over to his house and I meet the kids, and he's just one of those where he's got such a great spirit, and he goes, watch this. And he had one of those I need a drawing for this, but so you can see the living room from the kitchen because it's got a partial wall and stuff, and the kids Rod says, kids, why don't you go watch TV? And then they go in, and he goes, I told the kids that we have a magic TV. And this is when remote was brand new. This is how old I am. And Rod goes, now be nice to the TV. And these little kids were going, okay, TV, turn on. And Rod's in the kitchen just turning on the TV and controlling everything. And the kids are acting like they're commanding the whole thing. And then Rod they find a cartoon. And the kids are all happy and quiet. And Rod just looks at me, raises the finger like, hold on. And then all of a sudden he changes the channel, and then these kids get upset and start yelling at the TV. Come on. Rod goes, no, you gotta be nice. The TV's going to, if you're not nice to the TV. So I'm wondering how much his kids were traumatized by then when they finally figured out Dad was the one doing an MK Ultra on them in the kitchen when they didn't know what remote control was. But I didn't get a lot of my personality except from others. And not saying that everyone's an individual, but you pick up certain traits that are interesting. And okay, so that kind of leads me to this. Remember I pointed out Jim Saunders, kind of nondescript and stuff? Well, and I said there's kind of a weird story and stuff. That this was Jim Saunders at a Halloween party. You can see it's in the same place. But it wasn't a beach party. I didn't put any sand in, so they couldn't get me. I just had some friends over from work, and they were dressed funny. But then Jim Saunders, here's Jeff Heath. Jeff Heath is a bee. This guy's like one of Anna Darko's top execs. I don't want to do anything to him. But this is Jim. See, there's Jeff Heath. He's trying to say, no, you might use this later in life. I don't want you to. This is Jim Saunders. And what does he do? He comes to a Halloween party. And it's just like, okay, you got a weird hat. Okay. Oh, you got the tie. You got a plaid shirt. And then, Jim, what were you dressed up at? Oh, now you got a crutch? What's a crutch? What's the crutch for? And then you write, now he's got cords. Only one guy in the world wears cords. And it turned out this guy dressed up like me to come to my Halloween party. That's weird. Sorry, Jim, you're a guy. I can't say cool. So this guy comes to the party dressed like me with a crutch. I had one time, I mean, that's Professor Walker. I had a professor at Purdue that basically he's responsible for me getting into civil engineering. And he'd come into class, CE 200. It was a case studies sophomore year class. And Professor Walker always had on a black knit tie. And, so the whole semester, it's like, he always had this black tie. Different shirts, but, he was exactly like Art Carney. Exactly like Art Carney. And he had the demeanor and just jolly. And he had a war story for everything. It was like, we worked at a shopping center and there was a lug nut and then there'd be a 40-minute talk about this lug nut. And I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be the war stories. I won't show his face, but this guy's big exact. And talk about squirrel. Oh, so Professor Walker, and then toward the end of the semester, someone asked him, Professor Walker, why do you always wear a black tie? Is this black knit tie? 70s, vintage. And he goes, well, I'm glad you asked, because my dear wife, and he's just a real personable guy. He goes, my dear wife, every year tries to get me to wear different ties. And the thing is, I get up before she does, and I get up really early, like around 5 o'clock. And when I get up, I don't want to wake up my wonderful wife. And he was sincere. He's going on with his story, and she's like, oh my God, he had to save his children with a tie or something. But he goes, and my wife, I don't want to wake her up, and so I know when I go to the closet and reach for a tie, my old black tie will go with everything. So when I started Marathon, I kind of wanted to replicate that, but it turned out that I was just a naturally one tie guy. So I ended up having this knit blue tie that, no joke, and if I had, I'd pay $1 million if I had a picture of that thing. But it's in one picture. That kind of counts, but you won't get the gray. This thing it could soak water up. It could soak up Clear Lake. If you had enough of the material it was so thick, but it was this thick knit navy blue tie. I bet you it's here. Hold on. Oh, it's driving me crazy. I know I have these photos, but what I ended up doing was throwing them all onto one sheet and gluing them all down. So this is the tie. That's it. I get my $1 million. That's the blue sweater tie that I wore. It got to the point where, when you first start, you want to make an impression, and he was like, well, I can't wear the same shirt 2 days in a row. Not that anyone would notice, but in the event someone did, 1 out of 10. This is Irma, by the way. So I think when I first, it was like I could get by with twice a week and not worry about it myself. But then it was like, well, who cares? And then people started making a comment like, boy, you like that tie a lot, don't you? So when it got to be a joke, then it was like, okay, now I've got Professor Walker writes, where, yeah, okay, now joke, okay. So then I walked into Professor Walker's shadow on that one. So yeah, there's like a little tear right around here. No, it was pretty clean. Not considering it was just I'm surprised how clean. I didn't have it scotch guarded, which is pretty amazing. I didn't even have foresight to do that. But man, I swear, you could drop one of those canisters of those water jugs, that could get knocked over, that would soak it up. It was just, it's like NASA uses this to soak up stuff. And then this is where the reputation, okay, real quick, I want to get rid of this. But this is, someone, I don't even remember the backstory, but someone came up, actually Diane, this was I think Jim's girlfriend, who he married, Diane Collins, had someone that worked at the mall and they needed a mall Santa for whatever's sake. And hold on for that later, because This kid ended up belting me and gave me a bloody nose. And I don't know if this is the picture where you can start to see the little dribble of, but I want to cut this and hold on. So this is, oh, I want to just keep giving this because this is so, first thing I thought about is like, this is my ventriloquist trick. Okay, spoiler alert, this is the one where you can see the dribble of blood coming out my nose. Oh God, I was laughing so hard I had to go open a window. It's like 90 degrees in here. I'm laughing so hard. And so I mean, of all the, I know I threw out a bunch of pictures, but so I did this Saul Manta. running from the ball, Pinderella slapped her dripper. That's all another story. A mall Santa, and so over in the whatever the mall is, the big mall, and it was like Foley's or some department store, and they needed a Santa Claus. I thought, well, that'd be fun. So I go over, and then I don't like being in front of people. It's like, well, why am I doing this? But I get to hide, but not very well. I mean, this kid, look how crushed he is! Up until this point, he goes, alright, Santa's a white dude, but that's okay. Santa's a white dude, but that's okay. Now I meet Santa, and this is, oh, jeez, that's him. I'm sorry. I'm just wondering now how many kids' feelings I crushed. They're going, oh, we're going to go to the store to meet Santa. And actually, that is true. Because when I did this, I went out, and the first Monday or Sunday, Saturdays, it was Saturday. It was a Saturday only. And I thought that's the reason I kind of said I'd do it. It was only 4 Saturdays in the month of December, or however it worked out. And I remember it was 4-4. So if that's even possible, I don't know. But my contractual agreement was for 4. Oh, you know what? It was, duh. I started Thanksgiving weekend. I'm brilliant. So yeah, Thanksgiving weekend I started, and you get up and you get this stinky old thing that you don't know how many other pervert Santa Clauses wear this thing. It's dry clean, but you know it's got history to it. And you got this stinky, that ain't the first time it's been worn. And you get all this stuff on. It does stink, but clean stink. Like, it was so bad before me that they didn't want to get a new one, but they had an toxicology run test, came back and said, oh, it's good enough, no one will die. So you put this thing on, and I look in the mirror, I go, oh, jeez. So right before I'm to go out and meet all these kids where it's Santa Claus's breakfast in this, at the Foley's, I'm going to use Foley's because I can't think. So it's breakfast with Santa. So there are at least 20 kids. Yay, Santa, yay, Santa. And I'm behind I forgot where I came in. I think I had to come in from the public area. But out of sight with the kids. And so I look around the corner and all these kids are so happy. And then it's like, the girl goes, okay, it's your turn. And I walk out, and my voice starts cracking. Oh! It's like, come on, this is what's underneath. They're not this kid's too smart for these. Oh, jeez. He's white and he's depressing. It's just, no. So I went out and my voice is cracking, ho, ho, ho. And then immediately, the snotty kid that everyone wants to beat up, you're not Santa Claus. And actually, it was good because it was like, yeah, I know, but I'm one of his secret help. There's talk about God helping you out. It's just, God's just like, man, I feel sorry for this guy. I gotta bail him out somehow. Okay, snotty kid, I'm going to use you. It'll be the best thing you ever do for me in your life. So yell at this guy to make him turn his life around. So this kid goes, you're not Santa Claus. And that was like my out. I go, yeah, I know. I'm his secret helper, but he lets me dress like this so all you smart kids are, it's just like, oh. And so that was all I needed to kind of break my confidence, which was like way down here, to go out. And then he had to go over, and then he sit in this whole this throne room of Santa Claus. And sure enough, then you start eating the roll. It's just like, okay, these kids think I'm Santa Claus. So, what would you like? What would you like, Timmy? And what can Santa? So then these kids, that was the first week. And then the second week, I know the third week I got really sick and I couldn't do the fourth week. So it ended up only being 3 weeks. But, I think they might have even closed the exhibit because they had too many complaints in the personnel department. It was overflowed with phone calls from irate parents saying, my kid hates Christmas now. Oh, God. And then you think about it, Christmas is such a pagan, debauched nightmare. I don't care. Christian or not, or born again, I don't care. Christmas was illegal in the United States until the 1830s and maybe 1870s. I'll do the homework a little bit more, but I know it was banned in America because of its pagan, demonic celebration. Now what do we do every year? So maybe that was the plan. That was God's plan. See, that's the thing is, he takes you there, but you're to come up with the reason. And it's like, yeah, now all these kids, they probably grew up, took a while to get over. But who knows where this guy is now? It's probably LeBron James. I don't know. All right, that's a little bit too much. That's going too far. I don't know where I'm going, but it was funny. But anyway, that's the way God works. He takes you there. He's like a mirage. You're a mirage. You say, oh, there's that faint thing in the morning you think about, and then you start chasing it. Then you get there, and instead of doing what I do, is like I got there, and I go, oh, that's a mirage. And then I go back to where I was. He goes, no, you knucklehead. I got you here because of that mirage. Now stay here for a second and wait for the next mirage. And I'm like, nah, I gotta go back to my other dream as an engineer. I don't know. So maybe there was good, unknown good at the time, stealth, covert good that I was doing by turning all these kids away from Santa Claus. Because, oh my God, these high school girls came up, and then there's the Uncle Creepy McPherson comes out, and it's just like, oh, come on. And then so I know I had this picture with 2 girls on my lap, and the thing is, I didn't get any pictures except for the ones that people didn't want. So, because these are Polaroid snapshots, one and done. Where is it? One and done. You take one of those, you don't get duplicates. So, there's no way I could have reproduced that. So I got all the hand-me-downs, and I probably had, oh, for crying out loud, 8 of these. And then it got to the point where it's just like, no, if something happens, that's evidence. When did it begin? Oh, he was a mall Santa at Foley's one time, and that's when it started. That was the downturn. No, actually, that's not funny, because that's not funny. I did get rid of them, because it was like, but I don't know, I kept this one because the little blood, because actually there are two. The two before when he was happy, that would have made it a perfect bookend. But I had another one where his mother was so mad at me, she just gave me both. I'm done. I want my money back. I don't think, actually, I don't think they had to pay, because, oh my God, the guilt I would have if they had to pay to see me. Oh, I don't think I could deal with that. But here's what I'm talking about. Here's the throne. You see, you got the little throne and the little chair. It's just like, oh. And then these poor little disillusioned kids come up. Oh, he's got glasses, and it looks like they might have given me a little white for my eyebrows. But look at that schnoz. You got that Chicago nasally. Oh, jeez. Anyway, so the mall Santa thing. But yeah, you get these. I remember this one girl, and I kept the notes. Because they'd hit, what is Santa Claus? What do you want to bring Santa Claus? Well, I brought a list. It's like, what? And so I kept all these lists that probably half a dozen or so kids gave me lists. Then I felt bad, but I kept them. Oh, I wish I had those. But there was one, I want a gun. And it's from a girl. It was priceless stuff. But anyway, I don't think I have that. But I remember copying it, and I wanted to use it for a book. But anyway, and this is Howard. Howard was in accounting. This is your accountant. I love accountants. They're so much fun. You don't think they are, but they're like, they hide it at work because, I don't want to say they're hungover, but they've just had too much fun the day before. Like, I need a job to stable out how much fun I am, so I'm just going to become an accountant. This is Howard. Howard was just Howard. So. But anyway, I am going somewhere. So I am going. Okay, we'll just get rid of that. Because, oh my God, I wish it was that easy. So, so you talk about the guy that gets blamed for things. Who do you think that is? No, that's not this guy. But can I prove that? This is Margaret. We'll get to her. We'll get to Margaret in a second. This is Marilyn Shields. I actually just remembered her name this morning. But this was the drafting room where we had a chili cook-off, offshore construction cook-off. And so all that got into the pictures that got passed around were this. And it's like, oh, that's spry. And it's like, no. And I wasn't offshore because, see, my alibi. So this is my alibi. I'm not sure if it was the same one, but we do this little chili thing. And so, okay, or with the shirt and stuff. Okay, you got me on that one. But I made chili for the cook-off, but I used ragu. This is Frank and these guys are so mad because I bragged about making the best chili. And they go, well, this tastes like ragu with chili powder in it. And I was like, funny you should say that because, but no, it's like, well, if you're here, who, dramatic, Jim! But can I prove that? No. That's who's behind that. Then I have to admit, oh, okay, okay, yeah, same, yeah. I don't think he wore cords. He was a Louisiana guy. I don't think Louisiana guys wear cords. I don't want to blow this up and see if he is. But that's not me. But I got blamed for it. And then this is the other one. Oh my gosh, I got it all backwards. Oh, for crying out loud. I didn't even know where I taped over. Okay. So this was the goose thing. Jake had this goose. Well, now it's not spontaneous, but it was pretty funny. Jake had this goose in his office. I called it a stuffed goose. And someone put these eggs in there. But I didn't do it. But I got blamed for it. So, whatever. So yeah, the only picture that I have of Jake is that. It's the only picture. And he lost a little weight here. I think he wasn't ill, but he just, so in that age, you start losing some weight. That he was the puffy, you know, he wore the Texas thing pretty well. And I don't know what was this was 84, so I don't remember. And actually, it'd probably keep me a little bit more tame because, you know, probably the greatest guy in the world, but we just clashed. It's just the way it is. It's just like a little kid with Santa Claus. There's a clash. But this was taken after a project where I'd been on a tugboat from offshore Texas to Alabama. And I'm looking at this like, why is he smiling? I'm the only one that could have been taking these pictures. And he's probably smiling like, yeah, you just wait till you get back to the office and then we'll go, you know, we'll settle things out and how happy I am now or how happy. Actually, this was the media boat, and the media boat was coming out to capture the tail end of this artificial reef project. And I had ridden this tugboat for 2 weeks, and all they had were fried pork chops cooked in peanut oil to eat because they were at the tail end of not the first 3-month rotation. They're at the end of the second 3-month rotation being offshore because all they had were pork chops and peanut oil. And that's all I had for 2 weeks. And I'd been up for like 49, 50 hours. And as soon as this media boat, they were all hung over and there was like a 12-hour delay, 14-hour delay for these explosives to go off. And then when the boats, I want to tell us another thing, but when the explosives finally did go off, no one's paying attention because I was supposed to give them a warning sign. But the guy on the boat said, you can't use communication because you'll set off the alarm. So we're pulling out, and all of a sudden, boom! And I said, I thought you guys were good. I was going to do a light signal, and the guy's just laughing because he knew I was in cahoots with this guy. And so, anyway, and this was the corporate plane going back. So here's Mr. Gregarious. Oh, Jake just smiled at me. We're cool. And I can do fun stuff because Jake's my buddy and we're going to get in here and I'm going to be in close proximity and we're going to share and bond in that 2-hour or whatever, Alabama to Houston. Here's Jake. Well, there's a second picture, but that's it. And I think this is Tracy. That's Tracy. Oh, Frank was there. That's funny. I didn't know he was there. Anyway, well, maybe I don't have to explain this. So anyway, so this was, oh, I know where I was going. Hold on. So yeah, I was going to say, this event, this was on a work barge. And the only reason I did this is because Cool John did this. And I'm like, well, if Cool John can do this, I can do it. So this is Cool John. I don't mean to cover him up, but there's Cool John's coolness. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get some of John's cool. Then, oh, because that was probably the dance that was going on in my head. It was like, I'm an engineer and I don't have any cool, so I need to latch on to someone's cool. And so it was like the only reason, sorry, Jake, I just chilled you. Jake, chill. But again, the only reason I did that was because of him. So we were on a barge, and then the only reason I did this, the only reason I do this is because of Cool John. So, anyway, that's what happens when you eat pizza every day for 3 weeks. Anyway, and by the way, that's just air blowing up my skirt. That's sorry, I'll go there. Anyway, the only reason I did that was because of John. John did that. Are there any pictures of him? No. I don't think that ever got back to the office what we did, but that's where we're jumping from the helideck. I'll just do that. That's where we're jumping from the helideck. And you can see the perimeter of it into that pool. Right, just like, I can't take marathon anymore. But look, safety guy's wearing his hat. So. But anyway, so yeah, Jake, I just never, and then might as well tell I said I was on double secret probation and stuff, kind of like alluded, wow, there's another story and stuff. There, we'll leave it out. It looks like I've got a massive, broad-shouldered dude here. There's my, yeah, I hid those guys. I had Photoshop. But anyway, so the other story, my last review, Jake called me in. I knew things were done, and and then the partake thing came up, and I think that was he wasn't expecting. He had his game plan for me, but the partake that blew him up. Not just had that little explosion guy here, and because he goes, well, I gotta be honest with you. There's something that I can't say what it is, but there's just some stories about you that, and what happened was, I thought it was one, this is Irma. She was beautiful. This picture does her no justice. She had those big old eyes and stuff, and she had a skin plexion issue for a little bit, and then that cleared up. She just was beautiful, that bronze, and we got to be the Sam and Diane without the extracurricular. That we would, not flirty, but that flirty fun joke and this, because if you do anything, then you lose that flirt stuff. So we always had that flirt stuff going on. That flirty, not will you go out with me flirty, but just fun banter. So that, that's what this was. And I think Jake had these rumors, that's why I can save a little bit for Margaret. But he said, no, there's stories about you that I don't want to get into. I don't know if they're true. I don't, one of these, I don't care if they're true. But, and because of that, you're on probation. But it wasn't a regular probation because they didn't have just cause. Because I was a hard worker, but a lousy employee. And I don't think he could have fired me for just being a knucklehead. They probably changed the laws afterwards. I don't know. So he says this, there's this other reason, but what I think it was is this Margaret thing. And that's a whole nother, and I know I say a whole nother story, but this is a whole nother story that's different from it's a whole nother story. But, I gotta make sure might as well do John some more fun. And so this was in between, Pleasure Island's in between Bodunk, Louisiana, and Houston. And we're driving back, and I want to say that's Baton Rouge. And I'll look it up. And we get in there, I think we got lost, because that's a ha-ha, is it this way, is it that way, or something. But we got back, after we took this picture, we got back in the car, and it was so hot out there. So we get back in the car, and it's so hot out. And we one of us reaches for the air conditioner switch, and we do one of those where we touch each other. The John Candy scene where, how about them Chicago Bears? But we acknowledged it, that we touched each other. But both of us immediately recoiled our arms and didn't reach for the air conditioner. And the thing was, we didn't go back to try and reset it. So we had the heater was on. So what we decided, we were just this unspoken games going on where we didn't turn off the heater blowing out because we thought we hit the air conditioner. And we're driving down the road and the car's steaming up and neither one of us is going to flinch. Oh my God, we had fun. Oh my God. Anyway, and there's not more story. That's a story in itself. That's my office. See, okay, real quick, because Jake was a 6:50 to 4:03 in the afternoon guy. And he'd get there 10 minutes before 7 and leave 5 minutes after. There's no way. Is Jake here? No, Jake's gone. It's 4:05, you idiot. Don't you know, Jake? It's 4:05. So at 3:30, at 3:15, you could up and down the hallway hear people start putting pencils away and closing drawers and putting their stuff away and clean, all this. I staple all day and making little coupons or little things for my weekend thing at the Santa Claus. But I didn't want to play that game. So at 3:15, everyone else is cleaning up. I'm like, no, I'm just going to work past Jake. And that way he hated messy desks. hated messy desks. And, you know, the cluttered mind, okay, there's probably credence to that. Shut up. That's you. And so, got an alarm clock, alarm, coffee pot, glue, I sniffed. I don't know what that is. It was not a glue. But Tracy went out, there's a computer out. I was a really important guy. Here's my receipts for the dry cleaning bill for my Santa Claus. I had to do an expense accounting for. But, so I didn't want to clean all this up. Because even if I did, I would have to pull everything back out after he left. So I wasn't going to go through that little charade. So I thought, I'll be smart. Besides, Houston, you get those afternoon storms. And I'm not kidding here. It's funny, but it's true. You get these big afternoon storms. So between 3:30, 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, these horrendous storms would come through the area, and I wish I had a picture from my window, my corner that looked over the Southwest Freeway, and you could see these storms coming in. I mean, I thought Chicago, Midwest, we had these storms. Okay, this is just whatever, because I wanted that if that's the horizon and I'm looking out my window, that these clouds, this is Frank coming up the Southwest Freeway. Back from London. Okay. And these clouds would just grow and grow in the horizon and just turn black. It was unbelievable. So I'd see those clouds running in the horizon, and it's like 3, 4 o'clock. It's like, I'm not going to go home. And at this point, my Volkswagen, that sunroof was open. So, okay, I provided some entertainment for a guy with the lawn sprinkler one day, but I didn't want to get caught in all these rainstorms, so I could see the weather coming. So I felt doubly justified to be there when Jake, he went down the hallway and he'd reach in the people's office, you know, his boys, and turn off the lights because they were gone. They were out by 3. They were smart. And he'd go down this ritual and he'd get to my office and he'd do one of those, he's still here. But that went on for a year. And the thing is, he thought, I'm sure me looming over. I didn't mean to do that. And, he thought I was trying to tick him off, I think. And it was like nothing from it. Jake, I'm a hard worker. You gave me 2 projects that usually one don't even get. So, I mean, I was project engineer and supposedly the youngest to oversee the design, construction, installation of a new platform, and, you know, my bragging rights, which I'll tell you the truth, it was an $8 million budget and we came in under 6, but that $8 million budget was one day when this platform got budgeted, and this is a true story, that they're in there and, well, Jake, what kind of budget do you want to set for that little, you know, take out the well protector and put in the new platform B? And he goes, well, how deep of water is it? 78 feet. Let's just make it 8,000 or 8 million. Because I think he went by how many feet of water it was how many million. So it's like 8 million, 80 feet, 8 million, because it was 79 feet of water. Whatever. I mean, my decimals are off. Story of my life in college. But that's how the budget came up with, and so when this project came in at 6 million or under 6, it was, and my father was just like, well, you should put that down. That's good. That's like 75%. Well, I go, that's a bogus number. It doesn't matter, you know, that's the way you play the game. You've got to put those down. Anyway, my father didn't talk like that either, but, you know, just to make the point. So, Jake, I would stay late, wait for these storms to blow over, and that just cheesed him to no end. And, all right, I'll wrap real quick, because I don't want to. No, because that's, okay, I gotta go. We'll see you next time.